Hello and welcome back to day 9 of CADvent 2024, 24 days of attempting to design something new in Autodesk Fusion. My name is Elizabeth Bishop and you can find me on my social medias at 3dbish. In today's session, day 9, we are going to be designing these coffee stencils where you can put them over your coffee and sprinkle some cocoa powder and end up with some little Christmas decorations. So let's jump into Fusion and get started. For this one, I'm going to start off by creating a new component, and we'll use this to create copies for different little designs that we have. So I'm going to name this as coffee stencil. Starting off with a sketch on my XY plane, and I'm going to create a circle, and this is going to be 100 millimeters wide. Now you could either 3D print these or you could laser cut this particular design because it's going to be a flat 2D cross section all the way through. I'll design it for my printer, so 100 mil I know will fit on my printer. Adding in a couple of construction lines, so one to the horizontal and another one down here. So this little button will give you a construction line, adding a dimension of 45 degrees here, and then adding a new line, turning off that construction, coming down here and bringing that over here. Now I want this to be symmetric around this line, two different ways. I could add a midpoint constraint from here to the end of that line, or you could use the symmetry, select the two outer lines and the inner one. Just want to dimension this, so I want that to be 20 millimeters and I want this dimension to be 30 millimeters. And this here is the section you use to hold the stencil over your coffee cup. I'm going to extrude this by 2 millimeters and then add a couple of fillets just to round off these edges. So selecting this end point here and this end point here as 2 millimeters, adding in a second fillet to the same operation for those two inside edges, and that one's going to be 1 millimeter. And that there is my baseline for my coffee cup, my coffee stencil. I'm going to save my work and activate the top level assembly component. I'm going to right click and copy that stencil. Clicking there, I'm going to paste as new, and this will create a new component, which is not linked to the first one. So I'm going to name this tree, which is the first design that I'm going to do. And I'm going to activate this design here. I'm going to create a sketch on the top level component, and this one's going to be a very basic Christmas tree design. So adding in a line for my center, I'm going to use a mirror for this one and coincident that to my origin. And then just using the line tool to design the shape that I want the Christmas tree to look like. It's really up to you kind of what shape you want to do. I'm going to add a little bit of a stalk. Make sure you don't go too close to the edge of the stencil. But really the design that you do is entirely up to you and what you want that to look like. I'm not going to make it too big. I think that'll be fine. I'm then going to extrude that through to this object here, making sure that I'm only cutting the body from this coffee stencil here. I'm then going to create a mirror, and I'm going to mirror that extrusion. I want it to be a feature, mirror that extruded cut, and mirror that in the plane here. And clicking OK to finalize that design. And that there is my very first stencil that I'm doing. So just a very basic Christmas tree stencil on there. So I can save my design. Now going back to my top level component, I've got that first coffee stencil base that I did. So right clicking on there, I can click copy and I can click paste as new to give me another one to do. So this one, I'm going to show you a trick how you can use other designs that you've already done. So if you've done the holly and berries video, you can use the sketch from that design to cut out your stencil for this one. So if you open up your holly and berries design, and what we're going to do is use the sketch we used to create our holly and berries the first time. So I'm going to select all of that and click copy. I'm going to go back to my coffee stencil, create that new sketch on the top surface and Click V to place that. And then I'm going to orientate it round and then drag that into position where I would like that to be. And actually you could maybe do a couple of these for this particular one. So clicking OK, and that will give you the outline of the holly. I'm going to copy and paste that again and move that down and pop one in a slightly different orientation there. So just adding 2 of those onto this design. I'm going to click Finish Sketch. And again, I want to extrude these bodies through. I'm just going to do the whole thing through. Otherwise, I'll end up with some tiny little pieces that are not supported in the design. So it won't be fully defined and featured, but you can do that there. And we want to do an extruded cut with that. And the distance is to object and on the back plane there. So there we go. You can cut through some holly and berries. So that's using a sketch that you've already created in a different design. And the final one that I want to show you is using some text. So again, activating my top level component, I'm going to copy that first component again, right click, paste as new. Okay, so we're going to use the text tool to do this. Now, a caveat with this is that you need to use a stencil friendly font. If you don't have a stencil friendly font, what will happen is when you cut this out, you'll end up with pieces that are not connected to others and they will sort of fall through. So you want to use something like there's actually a font called Stencil that's pre-built into Fusion. So if you scroll down and look for Stencil, I'll show you how that looks. So finishing that, as it says Merry Christmas, and then extruding just the letters. So the profile I want to extrude is those letters, and the distance is to object on the other side. And the object I want to cut is just this stencil that I am doing here. So what I meant by not is a stencil friendly font is that there's no pieces that are joined together. So if this was all fully through, if you cut it out, then the center of the R would cut out too. So there you go. That's a font you can use to create stencils inside Autodesk Fusion. That's just 3 examples of creating stencils. So we've got the tree, the holly and berries, and the Merry Christmas. It'd be really interesting to see what you do. Please do post your ideas in the comments below. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments. All you need to do now is save either your DXF file or your STL if you're going to print them. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, let me know. And let me know what you want me to do for the rest of CADvent 2024. I'll see you in the next video.